Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Alden deck profile for post-Destin Showdown. We have the Destin 1 of Protection Alden as one of the 5 new Destin 1 decks, being the Keter Sanctuary deck used by Jinki Mukai in the Cardfight Vanguard Divine series. A really fun deck, being the Destin 1 of Protect. It's meant to protect and recycle your rear guard units, and then be able to have some pretty good guard numbers against your opponent. I would have really thought a Sentinel-like ability would have been cool for the Divine skill for the deck. But either way, big thanks to my buddy Anthony for letting me borrow his Alden deck for the video. So let's go ahead and get started. So we'll go ahead and start off with the ride deck with the standard. We have the energy generator and our starter being Knight of Heavenly Expression. Admis, when wrote upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Knight of Heavenly Sao, Tranquilia, when wrote upon by Everlasting Sky Knight, Sodios. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to one grade 2 or greater card from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. If you did not reveal a card, you energy charge 2, so at least giving you some resources if you don't reveal a card in the form of more energy to use later on. Our grade 2 is Everlasting Sky Knight, Sodios, when it's wrote upon by a grade 3 with Alden in its card name. Soul Blast 1, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to one grade 3 or less card from among them, call it to rearguard, and shuffle your deck. So more search power for those rearguards, being able to at least have a guarantee with the Soul Blast of this card as well. And our grade 3 being the Destin 1 of Protection Alden, along with the copy that we are running in the ride deck. We are also running 3 additional copies of this card in the main deck as well. This card has the ability, when a card would be called by this unit's ability to a rearguard circle with the unit, return that unit that this unit was on the rearguard to the hand instead of putting into the drop zone. So it has that recycle power, being able to add back cards to then reuse again. And on the Vanguard circle, when this unit attacks, +1, draw a card, choose up to one card from your hand, call it to rearguard until end of your opponent's next turn. It cannot be retired by your opponent's card effects, and it gets plus 10,000 power. So added protection with the Divine skill being a Soul Blast 1. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 2 cards from among them, call them to rearguard until the end of your opponent's next turn. They cannot be retired by your opponent's card effects, and shuffle the deck. So more consistency for the Keter Sanctuary-like call ability, while also still being able to provide more of a protection for getting out some of the bigger shielded units to be able to use later on. For the other grade 3s, 4 copies of Heavenly Blade of Liason, Razionel. When it's placed on rearguard, Energy Blast 4 and draw a card. So this can be some of the used Energy Blast in the deck. And on rearguard, when your other unit is placed on rear by this unit on the ability of your grade 3 Grade Vanguard with Alden in its card name, that unit place gets plus 10,000 to end of turn. If your opponent's Grade Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your rearguards and stand it. And it also helps with the multiple attack option for you to be able to use with the other units that you called into the deck with Alden. With this being one of the main abilities to use Energy Blast 4, you also have an option just for more draw power in the form of that card and the energy charge that you could have built up early on with your ride line. For the grade 2s, we run 4 copies of Forefront Knight, Teth Fault. When it's placed on rearguard, other than by a card's ability, if you played a normal order this turn, Soul Blast 1, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to one card with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from among them, reveal it, call into rearguard, and also with this card, put it in hand if it is a normal order, and shuffle the deck. So we do run some orders in the deck just for more setup of rearguards on the rearguard circles, and on rearguard, when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, if you have 4 more units, it gets plus 10 till end of battle. So just a free cost 10k power as well, and making up with the use of Soul Blast for a good majority of cards in the deck also. With our other grade 2s being 3 copies of Knight of Flows, Galmet. When it intercepts, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Alden in its card name, it gets plus 20,000 till the end of that battle. So this is definitely one of the, Destin 1 to Protect best cards to call out with its own ability, because protecting it from card abilities means that you can at least have a good intercept to use on your opponent's turn without any risk of your opponent retiring that unit. And also 3 copies of Sharpness Knight Ermac. When placed on rearguard, if you have a unit with Alden in its card name, with this card, it gets plus 5,000 to end of turn. If it was placed by your card's ability, it gets plus 15 instead of plus 5. So easy to do with your Vanguard's call ability, being able to have more power boost for this unit. If you Persona Row that turn, it's an additional plus 10, so 35k alone, without even providing a boost to the card. with our grade 1s in the deck, being 4 copies of Heavenly Defense Dragon, Wedge Influence Dragon. During the battle, this unit boosted. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Alden in its card name, it gets plus 5,000 power. And on rearguard, when this unit boosts to grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Alden in its card name, so it'll charge 1, and this unit gets plus 2,000 to the end of that battle. So there are a good number of units, including Tethfault and also our Eliason Razianel, that use Soul Blast. So having a grade 1 that can just provide a soul charge when you boost, along with additional power for a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Alden, makes it the ideal card to use for that setup, and then just an overall good booster on the rearguard as well. We run the 3 copies of Gargon, just because this card is, usable in a deck with Divine Skill. So it was initially released for Raziel and also Liel Amorta, but it can be used in Alden as well, being part of the Keter Sanctuary. So you can have 3 of this just for more countercharge power and an additional plus 5 power when you use the ability of a Vanguard with Divine Skill, having that plus power, and then just a way to retire this unit to get a countercharge as well. For our grade 1s, we're running the Elementaria Sanctitude with the 3 Life-Saving Angel, Kuriabel. If you want to run the ability Sentinels, you can always just replace the 3 of this standard Sentinel for 3 copies of the No Discard Cost one. They were just in this deck because my buddy Anthony does have a good number of different Keter decks that he plays at the moment. So these were just in for the spot for one of the other decks. With our grade 0s being 3 copies of Bringer of New Style, Sirius. With this card on rearguard during your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Alden in its card name, it gets plus 2,000 power. And on rearguard, once per turn, when your other unit's placed on the ability on rearguard of your Vanguard with Alden in its card name, counterblast 1, choose one of your rearguards and stand it. So just more stand power of multiple attacks, as we mentioned before, with your option of this grade 0 to be able to do so with your rearguard and having your Vanguard with Alden in its card name. That's what's cool about the older Alden support. It does work with the new Alden as well, as long as it specifies the name Alden and not the full name of the old Alden. For our order, we run the 3 copies of Wisdom of Explaining That Cleaned the World. So this is for the Counterblast, draw 2, and then call units onto the field, setting up more and discarding anything you didn't call off of this order, but then it also helps because you need that order to be able to use with Tethfault to have the search for more units also. And for our trigger lineup, we're going with the 7 critical. So the 3 copies of Daring Knight Sewell and the 4 copies of White Fang Witch Disma for the 7 count. With our next trigger being the front trigger, Alpac, for the 5k shield, and just the overall power that can give to the other boosted units on the field. With our heals being the 4 copies of Palpitation Angel. Just going for all the generics for this. If you wanted to run ability triggers, you can always just drop numbers for ones you wanted to use. And our over trigger being the Martinoa, just for the additional rear guard drive check power, especially with some of the grade 3 options we have on rear guard for that additional twin drive. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Once again, big thanks to my buddy Anthony for letting me borrow his Alden deck for the video. And until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.